We've pushed them. They're tired, as Dr. Harden were telling some of you. They will be sleeping. They will be doing some sleeping this weekend, but they're going to come back refreshed and ready to go. So, looking at our faculty here, we are a highly credentialed, we're probably I will say this is one of the best faculty in the United States. We're strong. Over nearly 80% of our faculty have some type of terminal degree. That means at least a master's or beyond in their specific area. They serve as academic advisors, club sponsors, even coaches. They do a myriad of things around campus, and they serve also as a trusted adult to your children. They really, dive into that role of being a mentor, being that we're under the guise of in loco parentis, so we're kind of their parents away from you all, because they're here. They're here more than they are actually spending time with you. So we take that seriously, and the faculty definitely takes that really seriously. For each faculty, for each course, we offer 10 office hours. That is critical for you all to know. So when you're wondering why little Johnny is not doing so well in class, and you're like, have you gone to see your teacher? There's no way it fits into my schedule. Yes, it does. 10 office hours per course. And there's that note in the syllabus that said, and also by appointment. So that means, if they're taking a gazillion classes and it just so happened not to fit in their schedule, they can find a way to get with their instructor. They're available via their desk phone, which is available on the syllabus, email, my LSMSA. Some of y'all may have already been sending notes, messages to your faculty. They're always available, always approachable. We pride ourselves on taking care of your students and making sure that we're approachable in any capacity that you need us. And also, every department has what we call department chairs. So it's kind of similar to what you see on a collegiate level. There's one faculty member that pretty much runs the department, and they are also a great point of resource for you if you have any concerns. Yeah, we have a lot of policies, and those policies are meant to be policies, not to create exceptions. And understand when you do respond, we're not ignoring the message. If we don't get back to you, usually we're trying to get back to you as soon as possible. So if you email us, a lot of times we're making sure that we're following policy, and we want to give a thoughtful response. We don't want to just see something and all of a sudden just try to reply back to you. We want to make sure that we're giving you the correct information, making sure we connect you with the correct person, because sometimes you're going to realize all the senior administration that you've seen, we have administrative assistants as well, and they're over certain topics. So you may email one of us and we're like, wait, we're going to have to forward that information to another person because they're responsible for that. So just give us a little time if we're taking a little long to respond back to you. Grading is different. Every teacher grades uniquely. English faculty, within the English faculty themselves, they will grade differently. In the science faculty, even in the biology sub-department, they grade differently. So if you have questions about that, read the syllabus. The syllabus is the key. Each instructor's syllabus will give you that information on how they particularly grade. And if you still have questions, then message that instructor and ask for any type of clarity. Yeah, we can't grade everything. We can't grade everything right on the spot. It's not like we're all given multiple choice. We're not. We're given short answers. We're given 12-page papers, 2-page papers. We're given a myriad of different types of assessments that take time. So be patient with the instructors. Now, if you're noticing that this should have been graded, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you can go ahead and possibly message that faculty member like, hey, when is this gonna get done? But trust me, your students are gonna stay on them. They're the ones that's gonna be like, did you grade the quiz? Did you grade the quiz? Did you grade the quiz? And they kind of want that instant feedback. So your child will let you know ahead of time, like, hey, this thing hasn't been graded in 3 weeks. They keep the pressure on the instructors to get things done. And and at the end, it says, your student will need to be willing to try, to discuss their performance. That's that crucial time in which students need to break the barrier and go ahead and reach out to their faculty members. Your students, a lot of them right now, they've integrated themselves, especially into the living community. They may be a little nervous to approach their faculty member because they don't want to seem like, I don't want them to know that I don't know anything. That's going to be a crucial barrier for them once they realize, you know what, let me reach out to them. Let me go to an office hour and ask questions. Why I say that? Because it's coming. Today, a lot of instructors, we have a 25-minute classes, perfect time for a quiz. So you're gonna start to see quizzes show up today, next week, going into our first mini assessment. So this is gonna be a crucial time if you need to have that conversation with your child and say, have you gone and asked for help? Have you done that? So that's a crucial component. All right, kind of switching over the next few slides, I'm gonna talk about attendance and our attendance policy. And excused absences, no matter where it is on campus, you have to request it in advance. If you know there's something going on, if there's a family emergency or whatnot, a lot of times you just have to reach out and contact one of the administrators. Hopefully, as your child sit here a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll learn where to go with them. But if you know there's a calendar event like matriculation today, well, if you know you were going to be out, you have to reach out to the appropriate offices to get clearance for it. And we would like that just kind of in advance, not the same day. Just like, oh yeah, we forgot, we can't attend this required ceremony because we planned a family vacation. We have to do a lot of that information ahead of time to get those requests. Again, I don't want to just keep reading everything. You can see that for yourselves, but this kind of gives you the point of contact for the separate office if something was to come up. As I tell the students often, life happens while you're here. It doesn't stop. There will be emergencies, there will be illnesses, you play sports, you won't be in class. You will have there will be a chance that you're gonna have an excused absence. So for you all, this gives you kind of a point of reference to contact. If something happens in the family, that runs through Mrs. Roslutsky's office with student support. Personal illnesses and things of that nature runs through the nurse's office, through health services. Anything school related towards like field trips and athletics runs through that sponsor or the faculty member that's in charge of that, and then it goes through the registrar's office, and then everything else you have to do the excused absence request. And the students learn this. They talk to other students, they talk to SLAs, they reach out and they figure out who they need to get in contact with. And again, when you're looking at attendance in my LSMSA, it's important. My LSMSA is a great hub for you all to utilize. This is where we need you, all of administration, and especially me being the director of academic services. I need you to be engaged. I need you to be, hey, I noticed you have an unexcused absence. Why do you have an unexcused absence? What happened? Did you just forget to go to class? Or what happened? So you find all of this in my LSMSA. Understanding over time, and again, that goes to those policies. If they have 3 unexcused absences in one class in a semester, they have to meet with me. So if you think about it, it doesn't sound like about it, but if they miss 3 classes here, that's a lot. That is a lot, especially if it's unexcused. We have to have that conversation because if you have 4, then you fail the course. So we have kind of these safeguards in place. If you have 6 total unexcused absences, you have to, you're going to receive an attendance letter from the registrar from me in terms of where they're standing. And you kind of see at the end this, the consequences for those excessive absences. 4 in a class, you fail the course, and you have to repeat it if it's one of the core classes. 6 unexcused absences, you trigger what's called a reapplication for the next year, and you have to reapply, and there's going to be a committee that has to review their absences to determine if they can return back to the school the next year. And if you have 10 unexcused absences, it's a mandatory withdrawal. So again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but you know, these are just things that happen. Just understand if we want them in class, and we like to know where they are. So if a student misses class all day, we want to know, it's like, what's wrong? A lot of times if they're ill, guess what? It's going to be an excused absence. You don't have to worry about that. They have to make up their work. Unexcused is just we look, they're not sick, there's no reason, they didn't work in a sporting event, they just didn't go to class for whatever reason. That's where we begin to worry and get concerned. Here we go here. This is again if students leave early without getting the proper, going through the proper procedure, or they come back too late. Generally those absences are unexcused. If they have the excuse already and they were given permission, then it will be excused. Their attendance at some events like matriculation today is a required event, and they're on the school calendar. So there's a school calendar available to you in my LSMSA. If you're having trouble with my LSMSA resource, I believe Ms. Shoemake put some flyers about how to navigate that on the table out front. All right, back to academics. Yeah, it's weird here. Y'all used to saying F's, and we don't say F's. Anything below 70% is a D. And you may say, well, that's odd. Well, that's actually good, because of the fact that if they're sending their home schools will allow them, they could still have credit even though they may be below a 70%, they will still take the credit. So if they do have to withdraw, their home schools will still accept that credit. So that's why we don't say F's, we just say a D. And a D here is a failing grade. Here's what's about to happen. This is the reality. Some of them will see the first B in their life on a quiz, or an exam, or a paper. Some will see the first C in their life on a quiz or exam. Some will see their first D, and they will panic. This is what I need you all to do. Tell them it's going to be okay. It happens. They're going to be okay. They're going to be able to recover. They just think they cannot. They just think it's permanent, scarlet letter. It will follow them forever that they made a B or a C or a D. It is okay. They are taking college level rigorous courses at the age of 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. It is okay. And guess what a lot of them will do? They will bounce back. They will realize, ooh, okay, I needed to study a little longer. Ooh, I needed to go to office hours. A lot of times, that's going to solve it. I need to go ask for help. I tried it my way. It didn't work. I need to maybe try it their way and actually get help. So understand it's going to happen. Maybe, right? It's going to happen for the most part. They're going to recalibrate. They're going to figure it out. And they're going to find success here. And they're going to love their GPA. They're going to love their transcript, love their ACT, love their PSAT, and go off and do great things. Again, I kind of highlighted that already, especially for my sophomore parents. A lot of times they don't realize they have homework, and they have a lot of homework, and they forget to do it because they're not used to actually, wait, I can't work in class to do my assignment? No. You are taking notes. And then when you go to the next class, you can't work on the previous class work because you're taking notes for that class. A lot of times, new students are just often disorganized. So they forgot they had a homework assignment. They're not used to going to a certain platform to find said assignment. Teacher assigned it on my LSMSA. They're used to maybe getting a worksheet in class. So they forgot about it. That happens early on. Guess what? That's fixable. That all failing to do the homework, failing to turn in assignments, failing to keep up with deadlines, that's all related. It's easily fixable. We have the resources also, especially coming from student support services, to assist with that. And at the end, of course, it all comes down to poor time management because they do have a little freedom here. They don't understand in 2 to 3 years they're going to be so ahead when they go to college. But right now they're trying to figure out, like, wait, hold on. I'm done with class at 2 o'clock. What do I do for the rest of the day? Right? They can sign out and go to Front Street. They can go and do work. They can go and play video games. They have to understand and begin to learn how to manage their time wisely. And all of this is happening at the same time. The newness of the place, all of this is happening. So it's a rush, and it's also scary at the same time because they're trying to manage that perfectionist attitude that a lot of them have. They want to keep their perfect 4.0, and they want to do that, but they have to manage life here. Perfect segue, we have support. We have support, teachers, advisors. That is the key. Each of your children have an advisor that's assigned to them. We would like for them to start there. Start with your advisor, like, you know what, Dr. Landry, I'm struggling, not just in biology, I'm just struggling in my other courses. Could you help me? That's where we need you all to engage with them. Have you talked to your instructors? Have you talked to your advisors? Have you reached out to Mr. Trevor O'Bannon, who's the coordinator of Students Academic Support Service? Have you reached out to your SLA? So there are levels of support, whether it's in the dormitory, whether it's in the LLC, the Living Learning Commons, whether it's in the academic realm. We have so many levels of support, but as a perfectionist, as a student who's prideful, it's hard for them to reach out for that first time. They've never needed help before. They were the smartest ones at the school. They were the smartest ones. They were the ones that were asked to help me. Now all of a sudden, the roles have reversed. Now they need to reach out and ask for help. So this is where we need you all to engage with them and say, you know what, it's okay to ask for help. No one's judging you. No one's going to call you stupid. We're not at that school. We're not at that school anymore. That's not going to happen on our watch at LSMSA. They will get the help they need as long as they reach out. And sometimes even if they don't reach out, we'll find them and we'll force them. We're like, you know what? Literally, come by the hand. Let's go up these stairs. Here's that office. Here's office hours. Sit and talk with them. Now, they may sit there and look like a lump of coal for a couple minutes, but we're going to make sure they get that engagement that they really need. All right. Oh, a little bit more, not negativity, but it's what if something happens? So we have our major grading periods here, pretty much our midterms, and then we have the final. So similar to college, we have at the middle of the semester, essentially almost at the 9-week mark, we do a midterm overview, pretty much a review of their grades. If they are failing a course, it sounds bad, but it's really good. They're put on academic probation. That just means they're going into what's called supervised study. We're going to help you. If you don't want to help yourself, we're kind of going to try to help you organize yourself. You're required to meet for X amount of hours to the instructor, especially in the course that they're struggling in. Mr. Trevor O'Bannon is over the supervised study program, And what we'll do is we'll assess, after each month afterwards, we'll assess where your child is. A lot of times they come off a supervised study. We look at the next middle grading period. Hey, that D rose to a B because they figured out to turn in homework and get help. They did well on the next exam, and voila, it worked. Sometimes they stay on supervised study for the entire semester. That happens as well. Sometimes it rolls over to the next one. But again, I just want you to understand this is not a negative connotation. This is a helpful resource for them if they so happen to be failing a course. Now, we can't have multiple D's without too many consequences, especially at the end of the, if you have 4 D's at the end of the semester, we don't want to beat your child up. If they're having 4 D's, they're struggling. And this rigor is not for everyone. And that's okay. That's okay. That's hard. This is my first year into administration. I've taught for 12 years. None of us enjoy that. We don't, because we want them to succeed, but sometimes we can help and help and help, and we're doing them a disservice, they're doing themselves a disservice, and like, you know what, it's okay. Hopefully you take the lessons you learn here and be able to apply them wherever you go. So that requires mandatory withdrawal if you have 4 Ds. Again, 4 Ds is a lot. Minimum course number is 6. So that means they're failing a majority of their classes. And again, just like I said earlier, a D here is a failing grade, but a D at their sending school, that's okay. They'll take the credit, so they won't have lost that experience at all. They'll be able to take that credit and transfer it over and hopefully take the experience of what they learned here and utilize it at their home schools. So, be proactive. Be proactive. Check my LSMSA. Don't check it every day like the students do. My God, they will check it right before class, right after class. Did the grade change? Did the grade change? Did the grade change? Did the grade change? Did they put their grade in? Don't do that, because it takes time. Right now, I gave my first quiz and my principal's a genetics class. I only give 4 quizzes, 3 exams, and a final, and a presentation. So their first grade, what it looks like, it's okay. When you have all these other classes that have so many different assignments, their grades are going to, you can't look at it one time and be like, oh, they're in trouble, No. They're going to have many other grades to compensate. But check it to see, do you see a trend? That's what we're doing. We're looking at, wow, they turned in all their homeworks for the first 4 or 5 chapters, and all of a sudden, they stopped turning in homework. We'll start noticing that trend. We want you all to be proactive and also notice that, because when you're proactive, when you're contacting us, then, hey, we got a unified front. We have parent, we have faculty member, we have administrator, we have administrative assistants. Then we can address the issue. Be responsive. If I reach out to you all, there's a reason. If Ms. Gouvion reaches out to you all, there's a reason. Be responsive, because we're reaching out so that we can get ahead of a situation. We don't want to be reactive. Does sometimes the reactive part happens? Yes, because some things happen like this, and it happens and we have to like pivot right on the spot. But a lot of times we want to be proactive in the situation. We're good? You have any questions for me? Thank you all. Here's our lovely Dean of Students, Ms. Dean Price.
Okay. You can have that.
Thank you. Good morning. How are y'all? Kind of sleepy. I'm sure most of y'all had a pretty nice little drive this morning. I am the Dean of Students here, and in my office, I hold a lot of different titles, but I did not put them on that screen, so I changed my screen a lot. But in my office, I handle student advocacy, Title IX, student conduct, and 504s. So I just wanted to kind of talk to y'all just a little bit about what my area does and how, kind of like Dr. Anderson said, how y'all can help me make this a successful environment for your kids. My number one priority is to make sure your students are successful here. I have students in and out of my office all day long, and not just because they're in trouble, but just because they need that person to talk to. And so they're not sure where to go. And so they'll come to me, okay, Dean Price, Ms. Price, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? How do I fix this? And so I am there to be able to point them where they need to go, but also I'm here to help y'all do that as well. If a situation comes up on the way home, or if there's a conversation that takes place with your kids and it's very concerning, feel free to reach out to me. Because if I can't handle it, or if it doesn't fall within my area, I will gladly find out who it needs to go to, and we will get it resolved, or find out what's going on. Student conduct, that is a big, big, big part of my job, unfortunately. But some of the most common infractions that do hit my desk are not wearing an ID, because we do require that they wear their IDs every single day, even in the LLC, because that is the way that we know that they are ours. Because we do have a college campus here, and some of the college students come through. We don't want the college students in our building, so we make sure that our kids have on the ID so we know they're ours. Some of the kids do miss speed bump, and so that does kind of start racking up. But speed bump is our way of being able to tell that we know where your kids are. That happens through the LLC from 3:30 to 3 to 6:45 in the evenings. So if they miss that, they get an infraction. Another violation that is becoming more common are dress code violations. We do not have a strict dress code by no stretch of the imagination, but we do have a dress code in place. So that is all listed in our handbook, and multiple minor infractions can result in a major infraction. Major infractions can result in privilege level adjustments. Normally they will lose privileges. One of the privileges that we have that they could lose is their membership in the National Honor Society. So if they receive a major infraction, they will lose their membership with the National Honor Society. So y'all just kind of help us keep that in the kids' minds as well. 504 plans. If your student had a 504 plan at their previous homeschool, please give me that documentation so that I can carry that 504 plan over here. And if your student is being evaluated or will be evaluated for a 504 plan, please send all of those documents and assessments to me for me to distribute to the faculty. We'd like to keep all of that out of the students' hands as much as possible. Any questions? Yes, it was short and sweet, but I have a lot in my office. But I just kind of wanted to touch on some of the things that do hit my desk and some of the concerns that hit my desk frequently. So, all right, Ms. Reedy.
Good morning. My name is Randy Washington. As they introduced me earlier, I'm the director of the Living Community. So I oversee various different areas, including residential life, health services, activities, recreation, clubs, and a few other things, okay? But that's basically it in a nutshell. So for the most part, I guess in summary, I can say a lot of what those areas do is ensure that the students have fun and that they're safe while they're doing it. And that part is not always the easiest, but nonetheless, we have a great team of people that work very, very hard to ensure that the students are having a very well-rounded experience, that they're having fun, but while doing so, that they're also being safe. So, for the most part, there are a total of 11 Res Life staff members that actually live in the LLC. We have a total of 12 people that are on staff. One staff is a desk assistant, but everyone else actually lives in the LLC. And so, for the most part, we have 10 halls. On each hall there is an adult that lives on that hall with your students. And so some of you May have had email conversations with many of them. So it may be an SLC, which is a student life coordinator, an SLA, a student life advisor, or an RA, which is a resident assistant. And many of those staff members are enrolled in undergraduate or graduate programs. So many of them are all mostly young adults. They're all, I guess you can say they're on the path to figuring out what they want to do next with their careers. So many of them may come and work here up to 3 years or so, and then they venture out to do what's next for them. And I didn't realize that I was changing the screen, but it's okay. So yeah, that's pretty much what they do. And to help ensure the safety and security of the students in the LLC, we do have overnight security. That overnight security person comes on board each night at 11 p.m. And then we have our on-call staff. So our on-call staff basically, after 11 p.m., which is when our Res Life no longer sits at the front desk. At that point, there's a staff member, which is one of our student life coordinators, and they have what we call the on-call phone. All of the students know that phone number, so in the event that something comes up in the middle of the night, let's say your student is feeling ill, or they're super concerned or worried about something, 9 times out of 10, that student will make a call to our staff member that's on call, and then our on-call staff member will give a phone call, if need be, to either, to the on-call supervisor. That will either be myself, Miss Regina, or Miss Meredith Madison. So one of the 3 of us rotate on our on-call as supervisors, and then we help make any final decisions that may come up about a student overnight. So I said all that to say, there's someone there to assist your student 24/7. If anything comes up at all, there's always someone there to assist them. We just have different protocols and practices in place to make sure that their needs are being met. And so, a little bit of what we try our very best to do is help the students to get acclimated here at LSMSA, because it is a huge transition for many of our students. And so one of the things that we have happening this year is Eagle Orientation. Eagle Orientation is being led by 3 really, really amazing Res Life staff members, and I get excited to be able to talk about it because they're part of the team. And so basically they work to design a curriculum that involves many of the faculty and staff here at LSMSA as well, and to create a curriculum in which they will address different things from time management to helping them create emails and send them professionally to different people across campus. And they also create programs that are attached to those different lecture-based, I guess you could say that the lecture-based as part of the curriculum, the lectures that are part of the curriculum. So they'll do different things like that, and each week they'll have a program that's associated with that lecture that they receive. So on Tuesdays at 4:15, all new students will come into the lecture, and then one of our faculty or staff members will be leading it. And then on Thursdays and Sundays at 8 p.m., there will be a program that's associated with that lecture. And as I said, it's really just to help a lot of our students get adjusted, because a lot of this is very new. It can be very overwhelming. And so those young ladies put together something to really help the students get oriented to LSMSA and what that's like. And I know that you all have heard Dr. Jason Anderson speak earlier, and I'm going into year 2 here, and I'm of course not a student, but I can honestly say I can see how, for some students that additional support is needed and is wanted, and I can honestly say that it is given to each student that's here. For instance, I recall last year, I was working with a student and they came in and y'all, I'm just gonna be very transparent and say, the student showed me their work and I was like, where's your instructor's office? Did you go and talk to him? So, at that point I'm like, baby, I can help you, right? So I walked the student over to the office and I sit in there with the student because I said, would it help you if I stayed? Because the student was very comfortable talking with me. And so I stayed with the student until they were comfortable, and once they were comfortable, I left them in there with their instructor, and they were able to get the help that they need. I will also say too, here we make sure to communicate with one another across departments to make sure that the student receives the resources, the support that they need, whether that's communication from Res Life staff members, if a student reported a concern to them and we share that with each other, say, hey, what can we do to support this student? So we work very hard to not allow a student to fall through the cracks, and not let their needs fall through the cracks, anything like that. We work very hard to make sure that they're supported. And then we also have many residential life programs. So every week, there's some type of program that's happening on the hall, something that's going on in the LLC. We have many weekend programs. That's when a majority of the programs actually happen. And some of the hall programs may be birthday celebrations or different activities that the SLA, SLC, or RA may conduct on their hall. So some of you may have already received some of the newsletters that the Res Life staff members send out. And if you haven't already received one, it's on its way. And so I will say, I enjoy looking at the newsletters because I'm not always able to attend some of the events that are happening, especially in the evenings. So just being able to take a look at those pictures and see how they are enjoying their time at the LLC and doing different activities and events and celebrating one another for birthdays. It's really, really nice to see that. And so definitely take that opportunity.
They went to sleep.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So for the most part, it's really nice to take a look at that. And so as you all go forward, definitely be on the lookout for those newsletters, because that's another way that you can kind of stay in the loop and see what's actually happening with your student on the hall. And some of you may be surprised to see their personality as it blossoms here at LSMSA and some of the photos. You might be like, well, you don't do all that at home. We're trying to take a picture, but nonetheless, you see them on there with friends and they're engaging and having a really great time. So yes, the other thing I wanted to point out was clubs and organizations. So we have many clubs and organizations. Last year, we had over 60 active clubs and organizations. This year, we're right at about 50, but of course, our students are already reaching out with ideas to create a new one. So if your student has not already mentioned to you any clubs or organizations that they want to be a part of, or sports, definitely encourage them to be on the lookout. We had a club fair a few weeks ago, and a lot of our students came out and they signed up indicating their interest in clubs. However, we do understand that academics come first, and so nonetheless, if your student has mentioned, you know, like that they're not really very involved, or that their social circle is a little bit limited, definitely encourage them to get involved. And then sports and recreation, they've already, volleyball has already kicked off, and a lot of the other sports are already having practices and everything like that. Encourage them to go out to some of the games, to maybe join one of the sports teams. The kids have a really, really awesome time. They really do. And so, this is how we all can work together. So I do encourage students to get involved and utilize their resources, as I mentioned earlier. Parents are encouraged to reach out to staff, be it myself or to the adult on your student's hall. Everyone is very responsive. If they are unavailable, you'll probably see where an automatic reply will come back to you, letting you know who to contact instead. I will let you all know that in the event that your student staff member is not on duty that day when you reach out, just know that there's always office hours posted for your student to know what day that adult is off that week. In the event that that adult is off, all students know that if you have a need or concern that arises overnight or what have you, they can always go down to the front desk. There's always someone there to assist them. And then reach request and sign out. So I will say, I know that for many of you, this may be your very first rodeo, so to speak, as you go with some of the sign out with the extended weekends and stuff like that, and that's going to be something that continues. So one of the things that I will say is this: if you have found where you're not getting emails, definitely send myself an email and let me know, or Miss Emily Shoemate, and we'll work together to make sure that you are receiving those emails. Because for the most part, Reach pulls from my LSMSA. So the information that you have in my LSMSA is where Reach is pulling that from. And it updates daily. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, if you are the parent or guardian of a student here, and let's say you're technically that student's grandparent, and you listed that you're the grandparent, we may have to go in and change your role as a guardian or something else so that you can receive different emails from Reach, so on and so forth. So just be mindful of that. If you're not receiving things from Reach, that could definitely be why. And if that is the case, again, you can always send me an email and let me know. We can get that straightened out. And when it comes to sign out as well, we have had some email exchanges with some of our parents, and we do want you to know that in the event that something comes up and your student whether it's them taking a driving class or in need of transportation, the best way to go about it is if there's something that that student certainly needs, we prefer some communication come from the parent. We do, because some of the details, sometimes they get lost in translation with the student, and so we prefer to have that information come directly from the parent, be it you email the student life advisor, you email myself or Miss Regina, because some of those details are important and we prefer not to wait until the day before or a few days before, because as you all know, well, you may not know this number, but there's about 284 students enrolled here. Of those 284 students, many of them often may need transportation to and from different places, be it practices, doctor's appointments, so on and so forth. In order for us to accommodate the students, we just need to know that information in advance so that we can help them to do whatever it is that they're needing to do. That said as well, oftentimes we're gonna need your permission for different things. And just another reminder too, if your student is playing a sport or anything like that, and you may be kind of tired of having to approve it every week or twice a week, they can actually create it and make it recurring. That way you approve it once and then you don't have to approve it again. If that's what you all choose to do, if you find that to be somewhat of an annoyance, so to speak, you can always do that as well. And I think that's pretty much it about reach and sign out. I do want to remind you all today that I sent the email yesterday. Some of you may have read it. But for the most part, whenever you come to seeing today, so today whenever you all get ready to sign your student out, as I mentioned in that email, all of our new students only, you may sign your student out before you go over to the ceremony. And when you sign them out, you can go ahead and sign them out, get their belongings, load their belongings up in your vehicle. If they take any medications, you can sign out and get their medications from health services as well. And you all can have that and go over to the ceremony. At that point, you wanna make sure that your student stops at their front desk and signs out with whomever's at the front desk, at the Res Life staff member. Once they sign out, you all go over to the ceremony. You have no need to go back to the LLC and them sign out again, okay? Now, if your student, and I don't know if we have any returning parents in here or not, but if your student is a returning student, they can sign out at the actual ceremony today. And then they don't have to go back to the LLC. Let's say that you've loaded your vehicle, you have everything. They may not can sign out before, but they can sign out at the ceremony itself today. I had some parents maybe reach out and ask too, if students are required to eat on campus today. For the most part, we are encouraging students to eat on campus. This way we can kind of ensure that the student will make it to the ceremony on time. As we all know, sometimes like traffic, it's going to be around, a little after lunch. Things happen, right? So we are encouraging students to eat on campus. Lunch will be provided. So yeah, that's pretty much it from the living community. Do you all have any questions? Yes.
On Monday, when we bring them back, what time do we have them back here for? I know it says 3, but if it's after 3 or?
So the LLC will open at 3, as long as you get them back between 3 and 9, because that's curfew, that is ideal. Now I will say this, if your student has already submitted a leave request, whatever time they put on their arrival time, we do really like when students make it back by that scheduled time. That helps us keep track of when to expect the students. However, as long we do ask that they're back before 9, and if your student did submit a leave request and they found where they may, let's say they said, I'll be back at 4, but based on travel, what have you, it looks like they won't be in until 7. We just ask them, hey, just give us a call at the front desk and let us know that you may be a little bit later getting back than you thought. And that's totally fine. That's a really great question, and I'm glad you said that as well. So speaking of, for students with with the building closing and opening, for most of the extended weekends, the LLC is scheduled to close at 4, and then when it reopens, it usually will reopen at about 3. And nonetheless, that information is all on the LSMSA calendar. So if you all are making arrangements for your student, whether your student is out of state or they're local, what have you, what we do ask is just to kind of make those arrangements and plans accordingly based on the dates that are on that calendar, to ensure that your student understands, or we know what those arrangements may look like in advance. Just because we don't want a student to be here on the day of checkout and not know what's happening, or we not know what's happening, right? So if you all will just coordinate and plan, and if you all need to loop us in and we can be of support, let us know that as well. Anything else? Thank y'all. And I will welcome Parents Council, Ms. Jennifer Kelly. I think I may have screwed up. There we go.
It should be fine. Oh. Wake up, computer. There it goes.
And good morning, everybody. Just a couple things. I'm Jennifer Kelly. My daughter is a junior. This is her second year. So just before I talk a little bit about Parents Council, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Jay has said this morning. Tell your students to use those office hours. They were a lifesaver last semester. Just getting to know the professors, understanding the workload is totally different from the homeschool that she was coming from. So she now, I was laughing this morning and talking, and she has math this semester and went to a different instructor's office hours because her instructor's office hours are when she's in class. So they can go to someone else's office hours if their office hours are not available for them. So the resources are there, office hours are in the syllabus. You can always go in your My LSMSA and find those. Check your emails and remind your students to check their emails. They're not used to that sometimes coming, and so an assignment may pop up, something may change, so make sure they're checking those emails. And the only other thing that I might suggest is that your student has a planner. I know a lot of times they are not used to the load of homework that they are having now. And so if they write those things, Edie is a check off the box type person. So she writes down daily her homework, and then she can work them out, feels like she's accomplished something. So just a couple things from a year of experience here. So let's talk a little bit about Parents Council and how you can get involved here at Louisiana School and the different things that we have going. So obviously the first thing is the 40th anniversary that is coming up. And in a minute, I'll click to a different slide and I will give you the QR code where you can register. We have set up a Sign Up Genius, and so we'll need volunteers for a lot of these different activities, but the important one right now is the September 30th, 40th anniversary. There are 4 different time slots. There's a 9 to 11 for setup, 11 to 1, you can help serve with food or assist with games, and then a 1 to 2 to help clean up afterwards. So I'll give you the QR code to sign up for that in just a minute. The other things coming up will be Connections Weekends in January, faculty staff appreciation in the spring, our senior banquet, and then an end of the year party, which it happens after graduation. And so that's a lot of fun for the students and the parents as the students are getting ready to leave. So I helped with the end of the school year party last year. So it's a lot of fun. And there's the QR code if you want it. We will also, Ms. Rebecca, we're gonna email out the Sign Up Genius, or I can put it, I can put a link to it on the parents' Facebook page.
We'll do both. We'll
Okay,
email and.
so she said she'll do both. So you'll get an email from Ms. Rebecca with the sign up information as well. And then we'll put it out there on the parents' page. Okay, any questions about how to get involved? Okay, thank you.
We do
love to have parents on campus. You guys are welcome anytime, and certainly we're really looking forward. The past few years, I think we've still, like everybody, been kind of bouncing back from COVID and everything that we didn't do on campus for a while, and so we're excited to have some of those events, and some of those events that our parents put on are really important, and so we appreciate you guys coming and being involved when you can. We know sometimes you can't, but we'd like to have you here when you're able to be here. So I'm gonna make a quick pitch for my office on some ways that you might be able to help us. We are getting ready to start our recruiting season, and we typically find that our parents are some of our best recruiters because you guys start to get a sense of the opportunities that are available to your students here. And so I just want to mention a couple of things today. We have scheduled our information sessions that we'll be doing throughout the state this fall. We've got everything except for Baton Rouge scheduled because we're waiting for our contact there to get her son's sports schedule and tell us when's going to be a good night for us to come down there. But on the table when you leave this meeting, we have some of these flyers, and there's different ones for different regions, and so we have the regions sort of labeled. If you know of a place, a coffee shop, a library, somewhere that you might be able to stick up a flyer to help us get the word out about these meetings, we would love for you to take some of those flyers. For families in the Alexandria or the Shreveport area and the Natchitoches area, this year we're encouraging those families to come to an exploration day instead of doing the information sessions because it's such a bigger, more full experience, and they're already so close. But we have some flyers about the exploration days for those regions as well. And then if you happen to own a business or have a contact that owns a business that would be willing to hang a little bit more permanent flyer to help us get the word out about LSMSA, more of a poster, we have some of these in our office. These are a little bit more expensive. So if you know of somebody though, or if you have an office or a place where you might be able to put that up and it could stay for a while, we'd love to give you some of those as well. And then just, refer students, share information. The application for next year is now live on the website. We'll start pushing that out on social media and things like that after we get through matriculation. We want to focus on your kids and their matriculation right now, but for students that are maybe good candidates for the school that can start to put in their applications, that'll all go, it's up there, and we'll start pushing it out. We appreciate, again, you guys being here today. We want to make sure everybody gets time for lunch and get into the ceremony. But are there any questions for any of the folks here today while we do have you? All right. I know the first couple weeks can be pretty overwhelming for the students sometimes. So it's been said a couple times. They're probably going to sleep. They might be exhausted. Some of them might be freaking out about a couple of grades, but 40 years this has been going on, more than 5,000 graduates that have done it. Most of our kids are not geniuses. They're just smart kids that work hard and adapt to what's going on here. So if they haven't quite adapted yet, that's normal. All right, tell them to take a deep breath and come back on Monday and get ready to keep going. All right. Thank y'all so much for being here. We'll see you guys in a little while at the ceremony.